on Lines on Design. We're here with Andy Pitts. And you know, in our first segment, we talked about what and how to create a home sanctuary. We talked about what security is for people in a home. Is it function? Is it comfort? Is it being able to nest? Or is it actually creating a fortress, if you will? We went to custom audio video and we talked about the technologically savvy home. Now we're going to bring it back to basics.
Sure.
And talk about some safety and security sort of the old-fashioned way. And Andy has joined us. He is a builder and is an artist extraordinaire and helps us out a lot when we're talking about fun projects like this. So let's talk about some things within the home that we can look at, we can pay attention to keep our home safe and secure.
Sure. Well, safety first, right?
Exactly.
And which kind of brings us to this.
Yes.
All your steps need a handrail.
Okay. Keep it basic, right?
And this is a very basic one. Mm-hmm. It's very old, and this would not meet code any longer because these pickets are too far away.
Oh, and why?
Too far apart from one another.
Why? Why does that matter? And why would this not pass code right now?
There are new codes in place to keep kids safe, and actually, this is a little closer to what you would commonly see now. And
Let me ask you a question that I've always had. I know that when I run up and down steps, I'm very cautious about kind of watching. Is there any kind of safety issue that we need to talk about when it comes to depth of steps or how far apart they are? How does all that work?
There are both to answer easily. There's a tread width that has to be met to a certain standard, a riser height that has to be met to a certain standard per the new codes. And from step to step, they can only vary a small amount from one another, so you don't get that funhouse thing.
So I really should be able to not worry about walking up or down.
Right.
If there are different heights or widths or things like that.
Exactly. And as old and kind of dated as these are, they're pretty correct.
Okay.
That's why you don't feel like you're gonna bust your butt going up and down these particular steps.
We're doing a renovation in here, and I know you guys are doing another renovation, and we talked about open stairwells as being safe or unsafe, but you said you still do quite a few of those.
Yeah, you do see them without having a physical riser in place, just the treads going up, and
I like the look.
I like the look too. It's really cool, and it kind of shows off the carpenter's work, which we always kind of think that's
we think that's pretty cool. Let me ask you another question. When I talk about transitions or flooring or thresholds, is that an issue when it comes to safety?
Absolutely. Well, you don't want changing different flooring, from tile to wood or whatever it is, carpet. There needs to be a transition, and it needs to be nice and smooth so that you don't knock yourself out trying to go from room to room, and you'll see in commercial applications, if there's any change that's any bigger than a certain amount, it'll be painted yellow or red or something.
As a warning.
Cue you in to, there's a change in level here.
This is the fun part about doing Lines on Design and integrating the Freudian slip covers, because we talk a little bit about psychological well-being as much as we do the design tips, and I think kind of the bringing it back to basics. You just went on a little getaway with your bride, and you wanted to show us a couple of things that you experienced. So you guys had a great weekend away?
Yeah, I was up in the mountains, North Georgia mountains.
Gorgeous.
And and I was in a wood cabin, and there's a lot of antiquing going on, and we picked up this really cool lamp. My wife went nuts about it. She said it's milk glass.
Oh, milk glass. Oh my God, I love it. Okay.
Right. So we get the lamp, plug it in, when you get back to the cabin, and turn it on. And a little while later, I looked over, and it wasn't on anymore.
Okay.
I started thinking, I'm jiggling the switch, and so it needs a little work, this antique lamp, and kind of keeping on the theme of safety. We started thinking, I was thinking I wouldn't leave this thing plugged in.
Okay, because that's what we were talking about. Are there things you can do when you leave? And you said you always unplug everything.
I unplug a lot of stuff when I leave.
When you look at a
chargers and all kinds of things.
Do you? When you look at a lamp like that, what are the areas that are vulnerable? Am I looking at the switch? Am I looking at?
Absolutely, the switch. Sometimes they go bad. I mean, moving parts, things go wrong, and it's just you know, talking about safety and fire safety, and you sometimes you'll see a lamp and it's all wobbly on top. You know, I just
Not safe.
Yeah, that's just kind of scary. I mean, this thing's plugged into the wall, and you know,
From a
fire scares me.
Yeah, fire scares us.
Yeah.
We're going to go over next door, and I'm going to show you where a dishwasher caught on fire, which will be kind of interesting. And then, in that note, talk to me about smoke alarms. What is the rule of thumb for those?
Oh, you know, you want to always check your smoke detector. You test it. It says test weekly, I think, on the actual thing. You want to have one in each bedroom, in each sleeping room, and you know, certainly one or two throughout in rooms where there's transition, you know.
And let me say this, whether you are a couple like you and Jane, or I have 8 grandchildren, it's always really important to have a fire plan, an escape plan. And I think a lot of people forget to do that. It's really very simple. It's just talking to your kids about the easiest way to get out of their home, the most quick.
Right.
And I
just
think
common sense stuff, you know.
that's what Andy and I, when we were talking about doing this ahead of time, basically we talked about the technology in the first segment. Now we're talking about common sense. But I think what's common sense to you, because you are a builder, oftentimes isn't so much.
Well, yeah, and I just mean, you know, taking the time to kind of give a little thought into what's going on, like checking the smoke detectors, or in your kitchen having a fire extinguisher, and you know, we'll talk a little more about that. I guess,
I want to walk in over here and let's look at a fire extinguisher and some things that are great takeaways as a viewing audience. Come with us. Yeah, talking about that dishwasher. I mean, it was pretty intense and pretty interesting. This is actually my dishwasher, and we had just had it fixed. And lo and behold, it was running, and the next thing I knew, there were flames.
That is unreal. Terrifying.
It really was. It was terrifying, especially because I then ran in back to get my fire extinguisher, which said, oh, by the way, 1976.
Oh, man.
So note to self.
Yeah, just again, you should have a fire extinguisher in or near your kitchen. You know, but no one would have thought that a running dishwasher would catch fire, but it just goes to show you, you know, go to your kitchen right now and check this thing out. Right on here it says recharge. I mean, this one.
Yeah, this one does say right now recharge.
You know, so you don't want to be relying on this when flames are shooting out of your dishwasher.
But
or
show
off your
people
stove
again
or whatever.
what this is.
Yeah, it can. You know, I think the fire department will recharge these, or you can buy. You know, this is a big one we found in the garage, but you know, they make smaller ones that store underneath the sink. You know, and I don't think they're too much money. You know, just go buy a new one if you have to. Or
when you're renovating homes or remodeling them, where do you suggest to people that they keep their fire extinguishers, and how many do you think there should be?
Well, like talking about the log cabin we were just in, I mean, there were fire extinguishers everywhere. You know, I know that's a wooden, you know, wood all over the interior, but I think, you know, in the kitchen, that's an obvious choice. Keep one right there. Maybe one near your bedroom, underneath your bathroom sink, somewhere. Wherever they are, as long as you know where they are, you know, kind of make sure you can get to them.
Practice how to use them, because the day that we had
that's the most fun.
Well, but who knew? The day, and I'll just tell you anecdotally, the day that we had the fire and I got the fire extinguisher, thank goodness there was someone else here, because I was not sure, frankly, how to use one.
Right.
And I do know the fire department really looks forward to helping people.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through how you use one of these?
Sure. Having said that, I don't work for the fire department.
Okay.
You know, I'm just a carpenter, but I have shot off one of these before. But yeah, usually there's a pin. You have to take out a pin, and then it's just kind of like point this hose and pull this little lever.
Little lever?
Yeah.
And and
off she goes.
We had fire extinguish everywhere. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But you know, again, talking about keeping things safe, that's really all we're doing. Common sense kinds of things. Do you check your appliances also?
Well, you know, like you said, this was repaired and it was an electrical thing that started the fire. I mean, really, commonly, that's not something you have to lose sleep over. You know, the appliances, new ones are great. They're more efficient. You know, you just kind of have to make sure they're plugged in all the way. And, you know, there's not much to them. So.
You know what's interesting when we're talking about kind of tips of the trade for seeking safety when it comes to, as we get older, for younger kids, let me just show you this real quick. I'll bring it over to you. I bought a timer, and this is a timer that is seconds minutes and hours. And because I've almost burned down my own house about 14 times cooking
Which had nothing
soup.
to do with the dishwasher.
No, which was, yes, because I was cooking soup and then ran out of the house and forgot it.
Sure.
I don't cook anything now without setting a timer.
Yeah, I hear
And even if it goes off an hour afterwards, it reminds me that something's either in my oven or on the top of the range. And I feel really good about that and feel like it's really important to do.
Like, and even if you're not here, someone will hear the timer, right?
Right, and I think that's the whole point.
Come on.
Well, as always, Andy, it's a lot of fun to have you here.
Thank
We
you.
always learn something. Again, the goal of a segment like this is to have some takeaways and practical applications that you can do in your own home. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us here on Lynes on Design. Please have a great week. There is a famous psychologist and philosopher. His name is William Maslow. He created this hierarchy of needs. On the foundation of the bottom level is home, food, and water. Home is what we're talking about today. It's creating our home sanctuary, our place of security. And I think both places, whether it's the old-fashioned way or through technology, as Abraham Maslow said, until that bottom rung is solid, it's hard to move up the ladder to freedom. So what I want to say today here on Lynes on Design and Freudian Slipcovers is create your home sanctuary, make it solid, make it secure, and make it your own.